So you're back with another reaction video. This time reacting to Back Across the Apennines Hannibal Part 9. Now, if you haven't seen my reaction to the other episodes in this Hannibal series, I suggest you check them out before checking this one out. And basically what I remember from the last episode, it answered the questions like why Hannibal didn't attack the capital, Rome. So, and also led his army in one of the most daring and brilliant escapes ever. So so the usual disclaimer when I react to any historical content: if I don't show so much as what is considered a proper reaction, it is probably obvious that I don't know much about the subject at hand, and if I do know anything, I'll most likely pause the video, give my input, or ask any curious questions, which hopefully should be answered in the comments below. So so yeah, the link to the original video will be in the description down below. Please go and subscribe to History March and check out their channel and support them as best you can, because they're one of the best history channels on YouTube, and there's quite a few of the fair amount of them. So, and this is one of the best ones. So anyway, let's not waste any more time. Let's get this up on screen and see what happens. Across the Apennine Mountains. Oh. Oh, of course, the night escape, now that I remember properly, it made the Romans think that the army was moving through the center of them at night, but they actually attached torches to oxen, which the Romans intercepted the oxen, but Hannibal's main force escaped during the night. It's one of the most daring and brilliant that I've ever seen.
It's late summer, 217 BC. As the fires across the Apennines Valley died down after months of Carthaginian raiding, the locals returned to their burned towns and cities, struggling to bring their lives back to normal. Having outwitted Fabius, Hannibal escaped the valley. And now there was real fear in the Roman Senate as the Carthaginian general marched north towards Rome itself. And as a fan of our channel, you should definitely check out our friends over at Curiosity Stream, my personal favorite streaming service.
Please check out
Curiosity
Curiosity Stream.
Thousands of documentaries geared towards the lifelong quest to learn. And by registering, you'll also be
Oops, no, you went too far then. Excuse me.
Escaping the Apennines Valley with his army and plunder intact again highlighted Hannibal's genius. And as the Carthaginian army now marched north along the Volturnus River, fears in Rome were reignited that the attack on the city was imminent. But despite the road to Rome being opened for the second time, Hannibal marshaled his army back into the Apennine Mountains.
Okay.
His string of victories was not enough to secure alliances in Italy, and the Carthaginian general knew that without a firm foothold in the plains of Campania, he needed to establish winter quarters in a better strategic position. Heading back east to his old campaigning ground near the Adriatic coast was a prudent decision.
Okay.
Encumbered with plunder and herds of cattle, the Carthaginians moved slowly, cutting a swathe of destruction along their line of march, ravaging farms and property, collecting provisions and prisoners as they moved, unopposed by Fabius.
Wow.
While this unchallenged destruction of Roman land...
Yeah, because wasn't... correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Fabius's authority was already being questioned by the Roman Senate. but feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
And the prior escape from the Aga Falinus Valley were the two latest embarrassing incidents that caused outrage against Fabius in the Senate.
Wow.
It was in fact his strategy that preserved the Roman army from potential destruction. Thanks to Fabius, the Republic stayed in the fight, which arguably kept their Italian allies from joining Hannibal.
Wow.
Yet, due to his cautious war
Damn you,
plans,
Sun Tzu.
Fabius's popularity in Rome was crumbling, and his allies in the Senate found it impossible to rally political support around him.
Yeah.
It also didn't help that, by now, news spread throughout Rome that Fabius's property and lands were spared during Carthaginian raiding of the Aga Falinus Valley,
Wow.
which cast further doubts about him. The Roman general tried in vain to improve his reputation by selling parts of his property to ransom Roman prisoners from Hannibal, after hearing that the Senate would not fund their release. But despite the unabating criticism against him and demands for a more aggressive stance, he kept to the Fabian strategy, refusing to be drawn into a battle not of his choosing, and continued to shadow Hannibal. His scorched earth policy had a very limited effect, as many citizens refused to burn their towns and crops, but it did manage to hamper the movement of the Carthaginian army, which did not have a secure supply chain and had to live off the land.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Hannibal reached a place he deemed suitable for his winter quarter.
Could it be this is what Napoleon learned this from? Or is it from another famous general that he learned about them living off the land? Feel free to answer below.
The town of Geronium. It is unclear if Geronium was taken by force when Hannibal's terms were rejected, or if he took possession of the town after the inhabitants fled. Either way, Hannibal encamped just outside the town and had his troops repair the collapsed wall, as well as surround the town with a trench and a palisade, turning Geronium into a fortified granary for the Carthaginian army, where provisions and livestock were stored.
Wow.
The sick and wounded recovered in the camp, as thousands fanned out to forage the fertile plain to the west, while others pastured the cattle and horses on the hillsides to the east. With enough provisions to last until spring.
I guess this will be my question might be answered by this video, but it looks like this is where Hannibal will start like a secure base or supply line, by the looks of it. So it'll probably answer my question for me, but it's like blocking off all these. And it depends I suppose it depends how fertile the land is for crops.
In a strong defensive position, with several roads offering multiple mountain crossings into Apulia, Geronium was the perfect place to winter with an army.
Wow.
Meanwhile, in the foothills across the valley, the Romans arrived some 3 days later and began encamping. But the dissatisfaction in the Senate finally boiled over, forcing Fabius to depart for Rome.
Wow.
Officially, he journeyed to the capital to observe religious duties. However, the more likely reason for his absence from the front line was to confront his critics and explain his actions, in an effort to salvage any support he could for his campaign. While the political discussion raged on, back in the Roman camp near Geronium, Minucius assumed a more aggressive stance. As second in command, he was left in charge of the army with orders to follow the Fabian strategy. But,
which he
eager
probably
to
ignored.
put pressure on Hannibal, he set up camp in the plain, from where he sent out parties of cavalry and velites to hunt down the Carthaginian foragers. Although most of the foragers escaped unharmed, Hannibal moved quickly to protect his foraging grounds by sending 2,000 Libyans to occupy the ridge overlooking the Roman camp. And Just to the south, he established a temporary camp where he stationed 2/3 of his army.
Wow.
Eager to square up against the enemy, Minucius sent the heavy infantry towards the Carthaginian camp, while his light infantry and cavalry went for the ridge. This seemingly created a problem for Hannibal. Not only was he outnumbered, but he left his cavalry in the main camp. Whether he did this intentionally to appear weaker and trick the Romans into attacking, or because the horses needed resting, he now lacked the mobility needed for the clash against Minucius. With superior numbers and mobility on their side, the Romans took the ridge. Seeing his chance to put more pressure on the Carthaginians, Minucius moved his camp to the top of the captured hill. Expecting another attack, Hannibal restricted all foraging operations, keeping the troops in a state of readiness within the forward camp. But Minucius stayed put, and after a few days of inaction, the Carthaginian general finally broke the stalemate by sending troops to forage in ever-increasing numbers each day, until eventually some 4,000 men were committed. Dispersing so many troops in the surrounding countryside, while already being outnumbered, begs the question, did Hannibal so desperately need provisions for the winter and was forced to forage? Or did he want to weaken his position, perhaps even appear incompetent, to provoke Minucius into fighting and winning a few skirmishes, with the aim of luring the Roman general into a trap once he became overconfident?
I think the second one might be the answer, because, as I said, Minucius is definitely in favour of taking more aggressive action, while Fabius is busy in the Senate confronting his critics, but prefers to take a more cautious approach and trying his best to keep most of the Roman army alive. So I think it might be the second option. But then you can't really know with Hannibal, because his strategies can change just like that on the fly.
Whatever the case, Minucius answered in force. He led the heavy infantry against the Carthaginian camp, while sending his cavalry and light infantry through the back gate to hunt down the foragers. The skirmish was a bloody affair, with the Romans getting the better of the engagement, killing many of Hannibal's foragers. Realizing it was time to regroup, Hannibal marched back to his main camp. Exaggerated accounts of this victory caused widespread rejoicing in Rome. Senators and citizens alike believed that they finally had a commander who can defeat Hannibal. Hailed for his success, a law was hastily passed that made Minucius co-dictator, which was effectively a return to having two senior magistrates in charge. But things did not go smoothly. Fabius urged caution, while Minucius wanted to take aggressive action. Due to persistent arguments over strategy, Fabius proposed that they command the army on alternate days, or split the army into two independent commands. Minucius decided to take 4 legions and establish his own camp.
Wow. And see about that in the next. That we'll be looking forward to that in the next video. So anyway, I can't really add more to that. If you like this reaction, please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you